Good day, ma'am. I'm Jovel Sagusay from BCHM 3B, and this is my chapter 16 entitled Formalities of Entry in and Exit from the Philippines. So before we proceed to the report, here's the list of the learning objectives. So first is to identify various governments for foreign entered the Philippines. Second, explain the importance of the valid passport when traveling. Third is enumerate the privileges of Filipinos covered by the Balikbayan program. And lastly is discuss the dual citizenship law. So, the entry and admission of foreigner into the Philippines are matter of privileges because every foreign state has absolute and exclusive power for government in its own territory, although entitled to all the right and privileges of the friendly guest that cannot claim the right to enjoy privileges which by their nature belong exclusively to the host. So first is the admission requirements. So under the section 10, non-immigrants must present for admission into the Philippines an expired passport or a special document in the nature of passport issued by the government of the country to which they own allegiance or other travel documents showing their origins and identity as prescribed by regulation, and valid passport visas granted by diplomatic or consular officers. So, in discussion of the law, non-immigrant must present an expired passport and valid visas prior to their admission into the Philippines. So the Philippines Immigration Act provides 7 visas category for non-immigrant, namely, first is temporary visitor, second is transient, third is seaman, fourth is treaty trader or treaty investor, fifth is foreign government official, sixth is students, and seven is pre-arranged employment. An alien is allowed only one immigration visa category at any given time. So next is the passport requirements. So a passport is defined as the official document or identity and nationality issued to a person intended to travel or sojourn in foreign countries. It is the property of the government of the issue authority, and it is not private property of the person who it has been issued. So there are 3 types of passport. So first is the diplomatic passport, then second is official passports, and then third is the regular passport. So first is diplomatic passport. So these are issued for a person imbued with the diplomatic status or are a diplomatic mission such as the President and the former President of the Republic of the Philippines, the Vice President and the former Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines, Senate President and Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, the Cabinet Secretaries, and Undersecretaries and Assistant Secretary of the Department of Foreign Affairs, ambassadors, foreign service officers of all ranks in the career diplomatic service attached and member of their families. So the second is the official passports. So are issued to all government official and employees on official trip abroad but who cannot own the diplomatic mission or delegate to international or regional conference or have not been accorded diplomatic status such as the under the Secretary and Assistant Secretary of the Cabinet other than the Department of Foreign Affairs, Associate Justice and other member of the judiciary. So third is the regular passport. So are issued to a private person who are not eligible for diplomatic or official passports, including government official or employees going abroad for pleasure or other personal reason. Next is the visa requirements. So a visa is a written endorsement made on a travel document or passport by a consular official denoting that the visa application has been properly examined and that the bearer is permitted to proceed to the country on his destination. So the visa thus issued is not a guarantee that the holder will be automatically admitted into the country because the admission of the foreign national into the Philippines is a function of immigration authorities at the port of entry. In addition, a written request for an issuance of visa, the alien shall subject proof that he has not been convicted of any crime Second is he has never been ordered deported from the Philippines. And third, he is not affected with any loathsome or continuous or dangerous disease. Fourth is the name of the guarantor in the Philippines. And fifth is an accomplished application for supplied by the Bureau of Immigration shall be required. Next is the Subic Special Investors Visa under Republic Act 7227. So, foreign nationals not categorized as restricted as determined by the Department of Foreign Affairs visiting the Subic free port zone of business and or tourism purposes may be allowed to enter all ports of entry of a zone or stay therein without visa for maximum period of 14 days, provided that upon arrival, they present their passport, certificate, or identity or travel documents valid for at least 6 months beyond the intended stay in the zone and confirm onward flight tickets. Foreign national who enter the zone shall be subject to the following restriction. So first is they shall leave or depart from the Philippines only through the Subic Bay or International Airport. Second is they shall not be allowed outside the secured area of the zone except to the visit area outside of the secured area but within the zone, provided that they are escorted by the BI officer and the Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority or SBMA officer duly deputized by the BPI or the BI. So next is the for those who intend to visit area outside the zone and or extend their stay in the zone for a reason beyond a 14 days period must secure a visa waiver for the Department of Foreign Affairs, provided that upon the security of visa waiver, the restriction as to provided herein shall not longer be applicable. Next is the Special Clerk in Economic Zone Visas under Executive Order Number 80 Series of 1993 and Executive Order Number 80 Series of 1993. So, foreign nationals not categorized as substituted as determined by the Department of Foreign Affairs visiting the Clark Ecozone for business and the tourism purpose may be allowed to enter all ports of entry in the Clark Ecozone and stay therein within the visa of maximum period of 14 days, provided that upon arrival they present their passport, certificates, and authority of travel documents valid for at least 6 months beyond the intended stay in the Clark Ecozone and confirm onward flight ticket. Next is ecozone but outside the main zone such as the subzone for business or tourism purposes subject to the following condition. So first is insofar as practicable the Bureau of Immigration or BG shall be duly informed by the align or his representative at least 24 hours in advance for the intended visit. Whenever such 24 hours is possible, the Clark Development Corporation or CDC shall be involved in writing. Next is the aligned concerned shall be escorted by the authorized BI personnel. Next is at least one BI officer shall be detailed to escort every group of not more than 10 visiting aligned. Next is Cagayan Economic Zone or Free Port Visa under Republic Act 7922. Any foreign investors who establish a business enterprise within the zone and who maintain a capital investment of not less than $150 shall be granted along with this his or her spouse, dependent and unmarried children below 21 years old of age a permanent resident status within the zone. Such foreign investor and his or her spouse, dependents, and unmarried children below the age of 21 years shall have the freedom to ingress to the zone for without need of any special authorization for the Bureau of Immigration. Likewise, the Cagayan Economic Zone Authority or CIZA shall issue working visas renewable every 2 years to foreign executive and foreign technicians with highly specialized skills that no Filipino possess and certified by the Department of Labor and Employment. Next is the additional requirements prior to entry. So for non-immigrant, a valid ticket for a return journey to a country of origin or the Next, country or destination is required for presentation. Certificates of residence must be secured by the following categories of non-immigrant from the Bureau of Immigration. First is temporary visitor, second is students, and third is pre-arranged employment. So foreigner entering as non-immigrant may also be required to register in accordance with the provision of the Allied Registration Act. And lastly, it is imperative for government medical officer, immigration officer, and the Board of Special Injury to conduct a sufficient medical examination for all aligned arriving in the Philippines. Such examination is focused on the physical and mental health or may extend arriving aligned or allies that regulation for the health and character on the as establishment by immigration law grades that regulations for entry and admission shall be included under Section 29 of the Immigration Law. Next is the extensions to stay. So in the case of non-immigrant visa holder whose stay in the Philippines will exceed 59 days, the consular officer shall advise them that they should secure extension for stay and register with the Bureau of Immigration and pay the necessary immigration fees. Therefore, the Secretary of Foreign Affairs is not authorized to admit into the Philippines aligned for temporary stay or to extend the temporary stay of aligned visitor in this country, as the law vests of such power in the Commission of Immigration. Next is the exclusion of foreigners. So, exclusion is defined as the authority to deny entry to ally who are barred by immigration law, rules, and regulations. The purpose and exclusion is to ensure that the alien who are allowed entry into the Philippines do not pose a threat to any of the three major categories of exclusion grounds, namely public safety, second is public health, and third is national security. So, in international law, afford of sovereign states absolute discretion to determine whether or align or territory. As a general rule, threaten national security, public safety, public health, and public morals, then the state cannot align in entry depends on disqualified for entry into its whether he or she possess a risk to general welfare. If an aligned entry will declare such as aligned as better intelligible for entry. Next is the deportation of foreigners. So under the section 37, the following aligned shall be arrested upon the warrant of the Commissioner of Immigration or of any other officers designated by him for the purpose and deported upon the warrant of the Commissioner of the Immigration after the determination by the Board of Commissioner of the existence of the ground for deportation as charges against the allies. So, this deportation is the expulsion of the foreigners from the territory of the state. It contemplates foreigners who initially gain a legal entry or admission of residence in the country but whose presence therein have become untenable because of the some serious infraction of municipal law of such country. Next is the detention of foreign travelers. So in section 25, for the purpose of determining whether the alien arriving in the Philippines belong to any of the classes including by the immigration law, the examining immigration officer may order such alien detained on board the vessel, bringing them or in such other place as the officer may designate such detention to be for a sufficient length of time to enable the officer to determine whether they belong to the excluded class and their removal to such other place to be at the expense of vessels bringing them. Under Section 6 of the Philippine Immigration Act of 1940, immigration officers may detain aliens of on board the vessel conveying them into the Philippines. The detention shall be for a sufficient period of time to enable the immigration officer to determine whether the alien concerned belong to any of included classes into Section 29 or the aliens concerned may apply the 5 for a waiver for their exclusion from the Commissioner of Immigration. Then next is the exit requirements. So in section 22A, any line about the depart from the Philippines temporarily or for permanent residence abroad shall, before leaving the country, apply the Commissioner or Immigration for the clearance certificate. If the Commissioner find that the applicant have no pending obligation with the government and the instrumentalities again agencies and subdivisions, and that there is no pending criminal, civil, or administrative actions which the law requires his presence in the Philippines, the Commissioner shall issue the certificate upon surrender or the alien of all other certificate previously issued to him by the Bureau of Immigration showing his admission and or residence in the Philippines. Added pursuant to Republic Act number 14.4, Section 2, no foreigner shall depart from the Philippines except at the port of departure and unless there are been issued a valid immigration clearance certificate of a certificate of exemption in his favor. Failure to comply is penalized by the Immigration Act. In Republic Act number 9225 or Dual Citizenship Law, under this law, the natural-born citizen of the Philippines who became citizens of another country shall be deemed not to have lost their Philippine citizenship. Consequently, they must file a petition under oath to the Commissioner of Immigration for the issue of an identification or certificate. A former national-born citizen living abroad may file the petition to the nearest Philippine Foreign Post. A copy of birth certificate authenticated by the National Statistics Office is required to be submitted as a proof of being a natural-born citizen of the Philippines. Lastly, according to David Batchelor, General Manager of the Peninsula Hotel, I love this country tropical climate, swarm and hospitable people, affordable standards of living, and I can live here comfortably. And that's all about my chapter 16. Thank you.